Hello everyone, hope you're doing all right today. Today I will be reading chapter 4 from The Soldier's Widow, which is the second story in my collection of short crime stories dubbed Life's Dark Corners. If you're interested in picking up a copy, they're available on paperback, Kindle, and Kindle Unlimited, all on Amazon. If you'd like a signed copy, you can always hit me up on my personal email at jamesmichaelsbooks.com. Now, let's get started. Chapter 4. Simone raced to her mother's house, not caring in the slightest how many speeding laws she broke or how many red lights or stop signs she blew through. If the cameras got her license plate, Lawrence would take care of it. Nothing was going to stop her. She dared for a cop to pull her over. Not 20 minutes ago, Janine had called her, screaming and crying for her to get to the house. She said someone tried to break into her house and she shot him. Of course, Janine was on the verge of losing it, and with her age, Simone was concerned she may have a heart attack. An ambulance was parked in the driveway, and the road in front of Janine's house was swarming with police. Simone had no choice but to park by the corner and around the block. She exited the car and walked as fast as she could in her boots, careful not to slip on the ice on the sidewalk. Thankfully, she was still in good shape even after having children, and her legs were still toned from her years in cross-country, or the almost knee-deep snow would have been a problem. The police formed a perimeter around the house that extended to the end of the lawn. A small crowd was already gathered round, curious as to what happened. Simone watched as a stretcher carrying a black body bag was pushed by two EMTs to the back of the ambulance. The bag was zipped up. Simone figured it was the body of the man her mother had shot. When one of the police officers tried to prevent her from breaking the police line, she explained that she was the daughter of the homeowner and needed to be there for her. The officer, slightly startled by the sudden appearance of the blonde beauty now standing in front of him, expressed an understanding look and escorted her inside the house to the kitchen table where Janine was giving her statement to the detective. Simone's heart broke as she saw her mom's wrinkled face streaked with tears and her shoulders still shaking. "Miss Stone," the detective said, "thank you for your cooperation. This looks like a clear-cut case of an attempted home invasion. We even found a gun on the man you shot. As far as I see it, it could have been either you or him. Pure self-defense. You will not be charged, but we may come back to ask you some more questions if need be. The only issue is that I will have to confiscate the handgun for the time being." Janine wiped her face with the tissue in her hand. "Thank you, officer. Thank you, detective," she replied quietly. "If you don't mind me asking, I noticed the other guns in the cabinet. Were you in the service?" Janine chuckled despite the serious situation. "Heaven forbid. No, my late husband was in Vietnam." "Looks like he taught you how to handle yourself." Janine nodded her head. "He insisted on it." The detective smiled. "Good man. Okay, I think that's all I need." He looked up at Simone as she walked in. "Is this your daughter?" Janine turned to Simone and her face lit up. A new set of tears streamed down her face as she slowly got up from her chair. Simone ran to her and they embraced tightly, but both women wept out of relief. The detective closed his notebook and made for the exit. "I'll leave you two alone," he said understandingly. "The police will leave in about 10 minutes. Take care." "Oh, Mama," Simone wailed. "Are you okay?" Janine kissed her daughter on the cheek. "I'm fine, baby," she answered, "just a little shaken up." "What happened?" "I don't know. That man kicked in my door and I just came home from the range, so I had your father's old pistol with me." Simone gave a slight smile. "And here I was thinking he was just being paranoid. I mean, who would try something in this neighborhood? It's always been safe ever since we were kids." "Maybe times are changing." "I've offered for you to move in with us, Mama. The kids love you." Janine kissed her daughter on the cheek. "And I love you all too, but I also love my independence. I'm not that old, young lady." "Young lady? Mom, I'm 45 years old." Her mother poked her in the shoulder. "And to me, that's young." Simone rolled her eyes. "Whatever you say." Janine looked up at her daughter thoughtfully. Believe it or not, the bickering eased her spirits. It is the odd sort of bond between mother and daughter. Did you call Robert or Sam?" Simone asked. "I called Robert," Janine said, "but he must have been busy." "And Sam?" Janine shook her head. "We had another fight earlier." "Oh, God," Simone pinched her nose. "What happened?" Janine proceeded to explain the phone call she'd had with her youngest child, including the vague threat he made toward her. Simone cupped her hand over her mouth. "Oh, Jesus, you don't think he may have had something to do with this, do you, Mama?" Her mother thought about it and couldn't deny the possibility. It wouldn't have been the first time Sam stole from her, but he was doing so much better, and she couldn't imagine something so terrible of him. "No," Janine answered, even though she wasn't so confident about her answer. "Despite our issues, he's still my son, I'm still his mother. This was just a simple break-in, and it's over, so let's just move on from here." Simone wasn't too sure about her mother's answer, but she wasn't going to argue with her either. Okay, Mama, but let's get out of here at least. When Leo arrived back at his apartment, he stayed in the car and reflected on what had just happened. Of course, Brandon didn't stick to the plan and decided to kick down the fucking door like a goddamn stormtrooper. Sloppy? Yes, but even Lee hadn't expected the old woman to plug his best friend and partner. Now he had no choice but to call the boss. Yeah, the man said when he picked up the phone. We had a problem, Lee said over his burner phone. Brandon's dead, the bitch is still alive. Are you fucking kidding me? How'd you idiots fuck that up? Did you forget how much I'm paying you? Lee had to move his ear away from the phone when the asshole started yelling. Hey, you didn't tell me she'd have artillery. I just lost my best fucking friend, but I promise I'll get the job done. He heard a sigh from the other end. Okay, I'm sorry about Brandon. When this is over, you can have his share plus an extra $5,000. Just make sure that this gets done. You got it. And one last thing. Don't call her a bitch. She's my mother, after all. This concludes the reading of Chapter 4 from The Soldier's Widow. Please check out my website I talked about earlier, jamesmichaelsbooks.com. It has all my books on there. You can also sign up to my email subscription, which will give you updates on upcoming books, book deals, events, content, things of that nature.